You're listening to the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex45, and this is season 5, episode 45. People, unbelievable! What an unbelievable year we've had. So there's 44 more episodes you can go check out if you're just tuning in for the first time. MotoGP regular season is over, so this is kind of like the off season. If you're in the game, there is no off season, but we're doing a recap of a dance down memory lane, so to speak, where we're talking about MotoGP from yesteryear. Last episode we talked about 2003. This one we're talking about 2004. It's already a heated debate, and the cameras are not even rolling yet. So I'm excited to get the gang in and chop it all up. So let me just introduce everybody one at a time. It's gonna be crazy tonight, man. I'm telling you. TJ, man, welcome to the show. How you doing? Pats beat the Ravens. I can't believe it. Seems like I might have to come up there in the fall, in January or February to maybe take part in a parade. What's good, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Can't complain. Yeah, Pat's back on track. Starting to see. I'm sure we're gonna start seeing more Patriots jerseys around there. People jump back on the bandwagon, but we're looking good. Still can't get our hopes up too high. Still got to play through a lot. It gets a little scary at this time of year when you're actually in the playoffs because it's not like any other sport where you got multiple games. It's just one and done. So.
Well, listen,
we've been through it.
MotoGP World Superbike Motorcycle Racing is one and done, baby.
Yeah, so, basically, it's probably what's I like it.
It's one of the few other sports that is one and done like that, man. Yeah. So it is what it is, but we're gonna keep it moving. Jordan, man, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Loving life, brother. Loving life, man. Sorry for the Zoom, dude. I can't wait for all the. We've been getting it on off camera. Now I'm ready to get it on camera now because this is gonna be hot. Yeah, none of that Patriot crap. No, we ain't doing all that. No,
easy, man. Easy, man. I don't know where you hail from, but
we go with Giants, New York Giants. Because Jets lost.
All right. Hey, all right. We're gonna leave it there. What's going on, Lewis? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing today?
I can't complain, man. I think if I get my tech to work properly, I'll be even more happier. But, it comes and goes in waves, man. I'm excited about the Patriots a little bit. I'm excited about 2004 season because I watched it a while back and watching it again, I was still I found myself at the edge of my seat. Even though I knew the outcome, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely ready to chop it up. But you're good? You're ready? You're back home for the holidays?
I'm home. I'm at least I'm home for Christmas. New Year's, I'm going to take a short little 4 or 5 day trip with the family. Just spend the New Year's somewhere else. Relax the mind, disconnect from the house a little bit, and then come back in the new year fresh and ready to go again. But we'll have Christmas here at the house and keep working on all the little projects and see what next year brings, man. And as far as today, I'm ready. This is 2004 was a great year, really unique year. And I think we've got all the right show notes to have a good time and have some good banter.
I got to keep my spectacles on, man, for this one. So let me set the stage, guys. It's 2004, 2003, Valentino Rossi has won his third world title, one on the 500. Well, he's won more than that. He's won 5 because the 150, 250. But he's won for Honda the 500cc and 2 1000cc in the GP era. Rossi, after winning the title, has left Honda and goes to Yamaha. Honda signs, every rider that they feel could beat Rossi for the 2004 season. So I'm going to start and go around the room and, you guys, search your memory Rolodex and, talk about what you heard, the rumors, the conspiracies of what happened around that time. Was it because Honda was too strict and didn't allow Rossi to flex like Dennis Rodman? Was it that, Honda was just winning too many titles and they just felt it was the bike and not the shoe, or Rossi in this case? We'll start with you, TJ, man. 2004. I know you're just 2 years old back then, so you're just learning for the first time. But what do you know?
I mean, yeah, I would say, Rossi. You see it. He's a flex. So there's more what he probably wanted to do when he was allowed, or for Honda trying to show him and trying to set him back. So obviously, he seemed like he can show that he can do it. Him switching teams and being a champion already. You've seen it. They it's like, all right, you want to leave us? Then we're gonna get some good riders, and you won't win. And you see it, like the Honda riders. They had a pretty decent squad, and they gained up on him the whole season. And it was a really good 2004 season. Good experience to watch the series. I learned a lot. And yeah, a lot of things changed too, like the layouts of the tracks and just rules and regulations and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. But I think they were out to get Rossi. He was a little setback for things that he can probably do.
No doubt, no doubt.
To represent Honda.
No doubt. Jordan, man, you know what was up. You were right in the mix back then. I know you probably really pulled out some posters and stuff like that. Stuff like that. Maybe, dust off a couple of torn airline tickets, paper tickets. What do you know, man? What do you know?
Dude, let me tell you, because I remember this, I'm not saying like the back of my hand, but I do remember when everybody's switching over from the 2-stroke to the 4-stroke. And then not the whole homologation, but everybody's going over to the bigger bikes. This is the first time we've gone through a 4-stroke 1000cc or 998 at that point in time. But it was a real prototype motorcycle they was actually going, and they're actually producing and actually manufacturing. And once they did that, Honda kind of already had an edge at that time. Remember, this is right before Ducati actually had all their technology and stuff like that. They had a fast motorcycle, but Honda was the one at that time. And Valentino was already kind of coming up already. They already knew he was going to be there. The whole paddock kind of knew, okay, this is the cat we got to watch out for. This is the guy we have to battle and we have to fight for the championship. So we need to make sure that, we beat him. Once he made that transition, and then everybody, critics, writers, journalists, they were all saying, it's not Valentino, it's the bike. So he took that as a personal challenge to go off almost 2 years of winning streak with Honda and then just completely abandon, go to Yamaha, which was horribly underpowered, Yamaha always had a lot of cornering. That's their key thing. For whatever their dynamics is, they've always had cornering, but they've always been down on power. They've always been down on top end. Honda had that. And Valentino said, really? You think it's the bike? I'm going to show you it's the rider. And he took it as a personal insult, came back, first race, won, second race. We'll talk about that later on. But dude, yeah, it was a complete screw you. I'm going to prove to you it's not the bike, it's the rider.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Lewis, man. You're up. You're Mr. Facts, the numbers guy, everything. What does it say, Lewis, when you leave an organization and the whole team, except for one person, goes with you?
It means, one, that you have a lot of team loyalty, that the team around you is loyal to you more than they're loyal to the manufacturer. If they're willing to leave the manufacturer and come with you on a crazy adventure, a crazy journey, they believe in you. They believe in your talent. They believe in what you can bring. Had Rossi left Honda and not taken that entire team with him, it probably would be a different story at Yamaha. But the fact that he already was able to bring all his mechanics, his techs, his chassis engineers, his lead technician, everybody with him, that alone set the stage for Yamaha to be able to take a major step forward, because remember, now they're not just bringing the pilot, they're bringing the pilot and everybody else that made the Honda as competitive as it was. Because all the other Honda riders were taking the information that Rossi was setting as the baseline to make their bikes. Now they're taking that entire brain trust, they're taking it over to Yamaha, and they're telling Yamaha, look, this is what we need to go fast. I've been behind your bikes for 3 years. I've been in front of your bikes for 3 years. I know the strengths and weaknesses of your bikes. And with our team, we can make your bike more competitive. Even if we're down on power, I see the qualities of the Yamaha with corner speed, with braking stability, with edge grip, with all the things that I know that the Honda doesn't do that well, and we're able to work around it. Now we can bring that to the Yamaha, upgrade the Yamaha in the places where it can get better, understanding there's some places that it's still going to struggle, and let us show you what we can do.
Right.
And now, the big difference here is he wasn't leaving for less money. He wasn't leaving for a satellite team. He was leaving a factory team for a factory team, and a factory team that was going to give him everything that he could possibly want to make the bike competitive, because Yamaha was tired of losing to Honda. I mean, Honda was killing it.
And okay, we'll talk about the changes to the Yamaha and the engine and what that meant for the future of Yamaha, where we see the Big Bang engine today. 2004 is when that came about in MotoGP. But what was your memory like of the whole, why Rossi left, and is it the bike, is it Rossi, was it everybody against Rossi back then?
No, to this day, the prevailing rumor has always been that Rossi did not appreciate the fact that Honda made it seem that anybody could win on that bike, that Rossi wasn't a special rider. The bike was what made him special. Anybody else could win on the Yamaha. Sete Gibana could win on the Yamaha. Max Biaggi could win on the Honda. Everybody could win on the Honda. Rossi's winning and dominating because of the Honda.
Yep.
Not because it's Rossi.
Yep.
And he had the opportunity to leave because, again, if another team did not back the Brinks truck up to his house and say, take as much as you want out of the back of this and we'll give you whatever you want to make you competitive, he would have stayed with Honda, man. Sometimes you got to swallow your pride and be like, look, I'm going to swallow my pride. The rest of these bikes are shit boxes. I'm not going to get paid to ride that shit box, and I'm not going to be able to fix that shit box. I'll stay in this not so great situation, making my money, winning my championships, dominating everybody else. But if you get an opportunity like this as a competitor, one, as an athlete competitor, and then two, as a kind of a personal feeling, like, you know what? You think your bike is better than me? You think it's just because of your bike? Bring all your riders next year, and on this bike that nobody else seems to win on, I'm going to wipe the floor with them just to show you that there are levels to this game, and nobody else is on my level right now.
Right. Yeah. Now, you talked about that Brinks truck. Listen, man, I think they gave him a small island or something, because I don't know if it was Sete or Caparossi. The commentators were talking about another rider that was offered $15 million back in 2004. So, and it wasn't Rossi. So I'm just like, well, if they were offering this dude $15 million, what did they give Rossi? What are your thoughts, DJ, on like the money situation? And we'll go around the circle room.
What they give Rossi? They mean, like Lewis said, that he took everything that he could to think about his future. So, I mean, it's funny that we still don't know like what these riders be getting paid. It's kind of like we had to do some deep research. So I don't know what they gave Rossi. They gave him a good chunk. Like if it was $15 million back then, it had to be triple that. Definitely double that. Because he's a special rider. So
in Rossi's highest paid years with Yamaha, it's rumored that he was bringing home an estimated $30 million a year between his salary and endorsements.
Wow.
Between 2012 and 2015, it was like 30 million, because he was, at that time, he was the only motorcycle rider ranked in the top 50 athletes in the world. And we're talking baseball, football, soccer, everything. He was the only motorcycle rider that actually slid into the top 50 highest paid athletes in the world.
I mean, I believe it. I would believe it. I believe it's 40, 30, 40, somewhere right there. I would believe it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of motorcycle racing back then. They kind of dried up a little bit. We're trying to get it back. So let's get into it. So we set the stage. Rossi's left Yamaha. He left Honda for Yamaha. We got Biaggi on a Honda. We got Nicky Hayden on a Honda. We got Colin Edwards on a Honda. Sete Juvenile on a Honda. The Japanese dude that I'm jacking up his name on a Honda. And who is it? Is there one other person? Maybe one other person I'm missing.
No, I think that's yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there's six guys, two yellow bikes and a bunch of blue bikes. Mm-hmm. So the first race happened in South Africa. No one knows what's going to happen. Obviously, we know by now. Rossi comes in and wins the race. You have to feel a way if you're Honda and you got these top 6 guys. I mean, we'll say 5, even though the Japanese rider won 2 races for the season and stuff like that. So, which is pretty impressive. And that, you kind of have to, if you stack the deck, like Miami Heat and you lose to the Dallas Maverick, it can't be a good look, right? I mean, it's only the first race, but you got to feel a way. What are your thoughts on watching the first race, TJ, and seeing it in action, right? Seeing the race in action, not just hearing or looking at stats, because it was pretty wild.
I mean, yeah, you want to see like how the season was started and what Honda could do and what Rossi were doing. And it's crazy how Rossi pulled it out first race to say, it's just giving momentum throughout the season. But yeah, you just wanted to see who would keep up with him. Like Max Biaggi was always on his tail, and Sete Juvenile. I mean, like those guys was really pushing hard just to try to stay ahead of Rossi. But yeah, what a way to start the season for Rossi to get ahead. I mean, he barely got first place. I mean, not barely, but like he won by, a couple tenths of a second. But there's still a good way to start the season, and the second race didn't go as well, but you see that the Hondas was on his tail, like third place Juvenile and Barrows and Hayden.
Not second place Biaggi. Biaggi was on a Honda too.
Biaggi, Juvenile, Barrows, Hayden.
Rossi was on a Ducati in 6, and Edwards and Tamada. So, one Yamaha, one Ducati, and 6 Hondas in the top.
But that's what they were doing. They were throwing the kitchen sink at him. They was literally throwing the kitchen sink at him.
I think that the first. Well, I was gonna say that I think that the first race they didn't know exactly. I think they were more worried about Rossi too, so like they didn't feel like the game plan instead of just trying to work with the Hondas that they had to just win, but they were just more worried about Rossi and pulled it out. So that's what I saw as me watching. So
yeah, no, I didn't realize it was 6 Hondas against him. I didn't realize, and we hear these names now. These guys are legend in MotoGP. And some of them were at the peak, some of them was on the other side of their peak. Nicky Hayden was just getting started. Colin Edwards came over from World Superbike after doing his thing there. Jordan, what are your thoughts on that first race and what Rossi did? As you mentioned, we had all these Hondas that he had to get through. I think somebody should have lost their job after that first race though at Honda.
Dude, I agree with you. 1,000%. Because literally, he won the last race on a Honda championship. Good, good for him. Then let's go through all that stuff. And then the first race come on a brand new underpowered bike. We just explained everything about that. And then to win the race. It wasn't by a lot, but like I said, the bike was underpowered. The bike was in some forms undeveloped, at least for that level. Nobody was able to win onto it. And to actually have only but testing and warm-up laps and qualifying. That was it. And then next thing you know, he actually I think Sete Gemini was in the front for a couple of laps here and there. But I think he was more or less playing his Rossi role, trailing behind him, seeing where he's good at, seeing where the bike is good at, seeing where the Honda's good at, because he kind of knows it already, and then kind of picking his point to be like, okay, I'm going to get in front of you. He did it twice in that race. He knew he was going to get overtaken. I think it was turn 6, something like that, in South Africa. And then it was kind of like, okay, but didn't really lose touch, never really like lost touch, and was kind of like a 2-3 man battle to the end until, like I said, 2 laps later, he was kind of like, okay, I got it. I'm going to maintain it. And then tire degradation was a big, big factor in that race and the next race. I remember seeing that where the tires are just going out. That rear tire was just really going out on him, but he was able to make it slide and make it work. So, I mean, yeah, good race. But, yeah, I think same thing. Somebody should have been getting fired for that mistake, I want to call it, for underestimating Valentino's skill.
Yeah, no doubt there. They should have. Lewis, man, let's jump into race 2 in Spain. Juvenile won, Biaggi second, Barros third, Rossi fourth. I think at this point Honda might have said, "Hey, all right, we got their number now. We figured something out, right?" What are your thoughts on race 2?
Well, race 2 right off the bat, it's Spain, so you got to give the Spanish guy that Spanish hometown half a second. That I always tell you, when you're racing in your home country, you always find a half a second you don't find anywhere else. So Sete Gibernau was able to take advantage of that home field advantage in the Spain GP and walk away with a W. Max Biaggi, now he's kind of showing a little bit consistency, as 2 second places in a row. And then Alex Barrow jumped up from from a 4th place in the first round to 3rd place, and it was a Honda lockout. That's a phrase you don't hear very often now, but back in the early 2000s, a Honda lockout on the podium was pretty much almost every race. So this was a really interesting thing because it showed that even though Rossi had the skill, there was still some limitations to the bike that he couldn't overcome. They were still learning how to make the bike work, how to work with the tires, how to work with, his team, how to get everything together. Because again, they'd only had so many practice rounds. They'd only had so many tests on the bike. They were still developing on the fly a lot of new items that the bike was implementing. So a 4th place, to walk away with a 4th place, is nothing to put your head down about, because again, you're on a new platform. It's a platform that hasn't been competitive for a long time. You're trying to do a lot of magic in a very short period of time. And you're up against a lot more riders that are already on a competitive bike and moving that competitive bike forward, whereas you're now the benchmark for the competitive bike and how to get that bike to become more competitive. So it's not like he can turn around to Carlos Checa and be like, "Hey, let me check your data. Oh, shit, you're in 18th place. Your data is shit. Who else can I turn to? Marco Melandri, can I check your oh, you crashed. You didn't even finish the race, so I can't even get your data."
Right.
So you're a one-man development team, one-man racer, and one-man, data collection unit.
Right. And, Jordan, the crazy thing is that, as you heard Lewis mention, it was a Honda lockout, but it was different Honda riders from the first round. And not Rossi struggled, but some of the other Honda riders struggled. Caparossi struggled a little bit as well. So it's not as easy as the Patriots, winning 10 in a row.
Don't go there. Right side edge grip. And like Lewis said, you had not say all Spanish riders up there, because obviously you had some Italians up there also, but you did have Sete, who's, like I said, that was his home track. He knew that track like the back of his hand. That's telling me that I go to Roland Roads all the time. Know that track backwards and forwards, literally backwards and forwards. That's like me going over there and be like, "Hey, don't win at this track." Really? Come on now. Yeah, it's too easy. So for Rossi to come out in 4th place, like I said, they wasn't really mad at it. They threw the kitchen sink at him. They got a W. Whoop-de-doo. We'll talk about the next round. The next round after that. Actually, no, not the next round. The next round after that was when, because the next round is when both of them crashed. But like I said, they had fights going on. And like I said, right side tire degradation. The Honda has power, but I mean, that Yamaha was really linked on there. And if you don't have the right mechanical grip for that turn, was it 9, 10, 11? before you get to that sharp left hairpin, before you hit the start straight, front straight. You take a big beating over there, just like in Germany. You're taking a big beating on the left-hand side. It's 11 corners, left-hand side. On Jerez, that right side takes a beating. So if you're not mechanically ready for that, or the bike's not mechanically ready for that, I mean, he did his best to get top 5. And like I said, 4th place, no one's doubting him. He couldn't do it. He couldn't be on the podium.
Yeah. Honda back then looked like the KTM of today on a straight. Them things was a rocket.
Bullets.
You know? I was gonna say about that race. It was a Honda lockout. It's cool to see Rossi get 4th, but there was also 8 or 9 riders that did not finish, and a lot of them did complete most of the race. And I don't know. So I have a question. So, like, I know some riders are rocking Bridgestone tires, and some had a choice of another tire. Was that a such thing back in the day? Because, like, it seemed like the Bridgestone tire was not holding up too well. So, we lost a couple riders in the race because you're on one side of the tire most of the time.
That year and the year before, Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong. That year and the year before, Rossi and I think a couple of other riders were actually switching between Bridgestones and Pirellis.
Yeah, so you had choices back then. It wasn't the homologated tire rule that we have now, where it's a one single tire manufacturer. So you could bring Michelin, you could bring Bridgestone. You had options. Most of them were going back and forth between Michelin and Bridgestone. But once you started the season on a tire, you usually finish the season on that same manufacturer, because every time you change tire, you need to change your entire chassis. You need to change your geometry. Like, there's a lot of things you have to get into. So if you start with Bridgestone, you ride it to the end of the year. You might try different Bridgestone compounds throughout the years. This is why eventually they went to the single manufacturer rule, because if Bridgestone had a great tire that year and Michelin sucked, everybody that started with Michelin, they were doomed for the entire year. It's not like they can easily switch over to Bridgestone or vice versa.
Right.
And if Bridgestone had issues, same thing. You had to ride it out to the end. So you'll see that some riders would have more tire degradation on the rear tire. So by like the 6th or 7th lap, they're already spinning. But the guys on the Michelins are slowly walking away at one track, while at the another track, the Michelin guys are having problems and Bridgestone is having a problem. So this is one of the reasons that eventually we get to that point in the MotoGP history where we go to the single tire rule. So now everybody's on the same tire. And this also brings the cost down, because now instead of buying from different manufacturers, and you can't really do deals with the manufacturers because they're different manufacturers. Now with a single tire rule, this is your set allotment of tires. You know exactly where your tire expense is going to be for the year. Everybody's developing and working off the same platform. It's a little bit more stable so that, you take it out of it. Now, right now, my feeling on our current tire situation, the current tire MotoGP is shit. As soon as you have to put a tire pressure valve in the bike and you have to slow down or go faster, if your tire temperature goes up or down, that means your tire's shit. So I can't wait till that tire is gone and Pirelli comes in. I'll go off on a different rant. 2004.
Before I move on, I'll say, Bridgestone did bring a tire out that got better as the race went on. Can we get a tire that gets better as the race go on today, please? That's all I know. I get more grip 8 laps in? All right.
I'm riding on that tire right now. If I get more grip as I'm going, give me that tire right now.
But remember, this is also a time when there was less electronics. I mean, you still had the traction control, you still had all the IMUs and everything, but you didn't have the ride height devices. You didn't have the aero packages. You didn't have this. You didn't have that. I mean, the thing that set most of the bikes apart, especially the Honda, was the V5 Big Bang engine. Mm-hmm. Like, that thing put down ridiculous power.
Right. So, let's move on from the Spanish GP. We're moving into Le Mans, the 3rd round. Again, Sete Juvenal, he won that. Cheque 2nd, Biaggi 3rd. So still Honda pretty much. Rossi 4th again. Colin Edwards, he's kind of up and down, struggling. He convinced people to go to the 16.5-inch rim, and also convinced those guys to go to the Superbike front forks. and didn't change back until after the summer break, which is wild that he was able to convince folks to do that. What are your thoughts on the French round, the struggles of Rossi, Yamaha, the fact that riders seems like a lot more input of certain riders to where, again, you can convince other people to jump on to change up the bike. TJ.
Yeah, I mean, Rossi started out round one on a high, and then still relevant, finishing fourth the second race and the third race at Le Mans. But yeah, Sete was just on one for those the Jerez and the following round, and Honda I feel like they got a little step ahead. Feel like they're doing really good, but it was a good race just to see, the layout of how these riders are riding now compared to back then. But seeing Carlos Checa, I think it's Carlos Checa, finishing second, and then Biaggi in third. It just shows like these guys is like, I don't care about you, Rossi. Like we're trying to beat you and trying to stay relevant, but couldn't hold it up.
No doubt. Jordan, the Le Mans round, like I said, the Honda's looking good. Melandre, who he came from the 250, he's on a Yamaha. He's starting to find his way on the Yamaha. Bayliss is struggling. Caparossi struggling. I think Honda at this point is just thinking like, all right, it was just a fluke that Rossi won.
I almost have to agree with you because at that round, a lot of crazy things were kind of going on. I don't know if it was setup issues, nothing like that. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they were raining that morning session, and then it dried out after that. So if anybody knows anything about motorcycles and racing, or just motorcycles in general, you have to change up the bike a little bit. A lot of people change it drastically, but I'm talking about 2004, not 2024. So they've learned that you don't have to change the bike that much. Yeah, you have to soften it up a little bit. It's more or less input that you have to do with the motorcycle that helps with keeping grip in the wet and learning at different lean angles, what's good, what's bad. So I would say that it dampened a lot of people. If I remember that race, there was a lot of one-offs, a lot of people that crashed, a couple people got back on, but there was a lot of crash. It was almost a crash fest. But I was kind of surprised on what happened during that because when that race was going on, was kind of like, I was kind of second guessing it. It's kind of like, this ain't looking too good. 2 races in a row where, Yamaha's down in 12th position, something like that. It was looking pretty bad. So I was kind of getting kind of worried about what happened.
Definitely. Lewis, let's talk about the next round because time is short and we're already in this. It was a fluke after that because Rossi came back at the Italian round and did his thing. It seems like at this point, like the 2025 season, riders start to show who's going to stay up front. And we see Sete's decided to say, hey, I'm going to be the lone Spaniard to challenge Rossi. Because, again, this is a time when it's only like a few. We had Jubinai, we had
Checa and Zaus.
And Zaus, thank you. Yeah, exactly. So 3 guys, and Zaus is on. I'm surprised Zaus finished fifth in Italy. But, let's talk about the Italian round. Rossi bounced back. I mean, it's his home track. He wins by 12 seconds. I mean, that's, we hear when, some other riders win by 8 seconds, we're telling everybody else to quit.
Yep. Well, I mean, right off the top of the bat, he's got that half-second home field advantage. Anytime you're racing on your home track, you go a half-second faster. So if you add that half-second by the amount of laps, there you go. There's your 12 seconds, He definitely came back in this one. He had a lot of fire in his belly after 2 4th places in a row because, again, Rossi's not a guy that's used to finishing off the podium. It's either finish on the podium or finish in the crash truck. He doesn't really like to finish off the podium. And I think that over those 2 rounds, again, Yamaha was still developing the bike. They were still finding a way to get that extra speed, to get that stability, to do all the to put all the pieces together that are missing on the bike. And there's still going to be more pieces that are going to come in this long journey that he's going to have with Yamaha, because I don't think at this point anybody thinks that Rossi is going to spend the next almost 20 years on a Yamaha. You know, they're thinking he's got a 2-3 year contract, and then 2-3 years from now, we'll see what happens. But he actually ends up spending the majority of the rest of his career, except for a short stint on a Ducati, on Yamaha, and he retires on a Yamaha. So he pulls out this win, does it in dominating fashion, kind of, again, throwing up the flag that, hey, I might not have the best bike, but I am the best rider, and I can make this bike more and more competitive. And from this point forward, he starts really ramping up exactly how competitive he is on that bike.
Right.
He starts having some really strong rounds.
He goes on to win the next 2 rounds. Yep. He goes to Rio, which I don't know if there was some type of something happening down, because I can't see footage. I don't have footage of. I don't have results on MotoGP. Don't know what quite happened, but we do believe this is the round that Rossi and Sette crashed out. And so neither one of them scored any points. I forget who. I think, I don't know if it was Barros who won or Biaggi who won for that. It was
Biaggi that. No, sorry, it was actually, no, that one Tomato won.
Okay, Tomato. Yeah. You're right. So that was the first. Yeah, which is crazy because he was fast. It was his first win, and he went on. So now we move on to the German Grand Prix. You know, it's crazy to talk about, you know, in hindsight, especially after watching it, TJ, and watching the races, because a lot has happened, but now there's a little bit more tension. You know, riders are riding. I don't say they're taking more risks, but they're kind of taking more risks going into this thing. You know, what are your thoughts on where they're at in the German Grand Prix? I believe the German Grand Prix is the round. Nope, the British Grand Prix is the round, and after that, there's their summer break. I just want to check real quick. The British Grand Prix, Rossi did win that one. So between the German Grand Prix and the British Grand Prix, things are getting dicey. But Rossi's on a tear because he's won, like, you know, 5-6 races at this point. What are your thoughts, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on the tear, and these riders just trying to, like, you know, get back at him, try to keep, you know, relevant in the points. I know we moving pretty fast, but we skipped over Athens. Was probably my favorite race of the year.
Let's talk about it. My bad.
No, that's all right, because you know, I'm looking at this German Grand Prix where Rossi finished 4th, Biaggi was in 1st, Barros and Mickey Hayden. You know, this is the top 3. So you didn't see Sette, you didn't see him around there. You know, Rossi was still relevant to get those points. But my favorite race was the Athens. For some reason, Rossi was just floating around, just pacing all the way through, and he was able to pull it out and get the win. Long story short, but Sette thought he had that race the whole time, and I like that. He was so pissed off at the end of the race that he didn't want to take his helmet off, lift his visor up, and I think that took a lot out of him. For that, and just try to slow Rossi down the way. So he was on a tear with Italian, and then that race, and then he won like 3-4 in a row. So the German race, you know, he kind of had a little setback, but Sette wasn't around. A lot of riders did not make it that race.
You know,
the pressure was definitely high on Rossi, the tension. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you rewound that back a little bit, because, you know, followed that back a little bit, as us Jamaican like to say, because you're right. There had to have been something that switched in Sette, because you can see over the course. I mean, you know, by Qatar we find out why Rossi and Sette don't speak. Right. So by that time, and I've lost my camera, but I can still.
We hear you.
You guys can still hear me. I'll sort that out in a second. So what are your thoughts, Jordan, on Sete? At the Dutch Grand Prix, thinking you got something in the bag and you lose by not even a little over half a second.
I love half second. I mean, Rossi was doing what he normally does, is kind of not just set the pace, but kind of stalks people. He's been known for that. Even on 250s and 125s, he's been known to stalk. And he did it big time in Assen and the German Grand Prix. If you remember the German Grand Prix, where Rossi and Sete went out for the first lap, it was like qualifying. I mean, they were going for each other's neck from the first race. Lap one, going down the waterfall, Rossi hits him on the inside and block passes him before they even go up the hill on lap one. And they already had a half-second break on the rest of the field. So, I mean, that goes to show you that the Assen race and the first round of the European race, the Spain race, things started going in motion where it's kind of like, all right, I got your number. You ain't getting mine. I'm going to make sure I wipe the floor with you. And it went on for like the next 3 rounds. And where Sete, if he could have stayed on the bike, I'm not going to, we're going to probably skip around. Like I said, we're out of time for right now. But if Sete would have been able to stay on the bike for the next 2 or 3 rounds, I think it would have been a lot closer. I'm not going to say he won, but it would have been a lot closer. But after that, I mean, he pretty much, Rossi I'm talking about, he pretty much put the hammer down and made sure that he had a nice gap between the next couple rounds.
Yeah, he did, no doubt. Lewis, man, I mean, Biaggi won at the German Grand Prix. Not enough to really, interrupt what was going on between Sete and Rossi. But 8 rounds in, Honda got to feel like they're in trouble. What are your thoughts on where things are? Do you believe that, Assen, the Dutch round, was the icing on the cake for Sete to, I guess I'll say it. And what he, because, so at the Qatar round, Rossi got a grid penalty, pushed back of the grid for cleaning his grid position the night before, because this is their first year in Qatar. And it was a lot of dust. And so somebody went to race direction and snitched on Rossi. And then Rossi say, hey, I wasn't the only Italian out. Biaggi was out here with me as well.
Yo, if somebody dropping down on me, I'm dropping down on everybody. Either we all stay quiet and all go to jail together, or we all stay free. But if somebody drop down on me, man, I'm rolling.
And it had to be true because, they both got the grid position, and, it come to find out Rossi believes Sete is the one that informed on him. And after that,
Rossi
he wouldn't
thinking a
shake
Spaniard
hands.
is out to get him. That's new to me, man. That's never happened.
But it's also a shot in the foot for Honda, right? Because Biaggi is a Honda rider, and you also heard Biaggi as well, not just Rossi, even though your aim was to kind of, which I don't know. Look, I was talking to TJ about this earlier. I mean, I don't know how dust is in Qatar, but I got to assume if it's the night before and the morning, there's going to be a lot of dust in that spot where Rossi cleaned off.
Yeah, that sounds like possibly the dumbest thing ever done, because to this day, Qatar is known as, obviously it's in the desert. So there's sand in the desert, and it tends to be very windy. And even during the races, riders will say they go into corners very hesitant, because there's certain corners that during the race, they know that the wind's blowing and it gets a little bit more extra sand. So they have to be a little bit more adaptable corner by corner and lap by lap, because you might go around this corner this lap, and while you complete that lap, a strong breeze comes across, and now you go into that same corner the next lap. And if you're a leading rider, you're the canary in the coal mine, you're going to this corner that all of a sudden now has sand that you didn't expect to be there. And there's why I got a lot of guys end up eating it at, turn 3 and turn 7 at Qatar, because those are known as places where sand collects more than anywhere else. Dusting off your grid position the night before is really, really I can see it like the day of, or have one of your mechanics go out there and like put some special shoes on with some like brushes on them and like brush it with his shoes. But come on, man. That makes no sense. But again, the race went through at Qatar. Rossi ended up retiring, didn't finish the race. Sete Gibernau won the race. Second place went to Colin Edwards. Colin Edwards ends up having quite a few second places in his career, never gets a first place the entire time that he's in MotoGP. And Nicky Hayden, again, he's in the top 5. So at this point in the year, Nicky Hayden's either in the top 5 or he's not finishing the race. That's kind of been his pattern the entire year. Rossi kind of still leads the championship at this point, leaves with more than enough points to continue his role. And if the next couple of rounds go the right way, then Rossi's going to pretty much clinch the championship, maybe in Malaysia, possibly in Australia. It's not even going to have to go to Valencia.
No, well, it does go to Malaysia, but not Valencia for sure. Sete Gibernau did fight. I mean, I'll give it to him. I think he left it all out there. I think he to me he resembles Reggie Miller or Charles Barkley. Despite I don't know how true it was with him, ratting on Rossi, but that's soured their relationship. Jordan, TJ, have you heard about your thoughts on that for this sour relationship? And I heard one of the commentators say, Rossi said, I was always looking for a reason not to talk to Gibernau, and now he gave me one after that. So that's also funny. I'm sure you can relate, Lewis, when it comes, to people in the paddock you might not want to talk to anymore, but you got to. But what are your thoughts, Jordan, on the beef?
I mean, there's always going to be beef. Like I heard, and this is kind of bestowing to me, that Shaquille O'Neal, 5-6-time NBA champion with, a whole bunch of teams, Miami, Boston, blah, 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 LA, Kobe, blah, blah, blah. He actually admitted to lying to David Robinson that he actually didn't like him. He actually had a beef with him. Lied to the critics, lied to the media, lied to everybody because he thought David Robinson was a better center than he was before he became really big. So when he supposedly asked for an autograph, David Robinson said no. He actually put that in his mind so that he played harder at David Robinson to make sure he didn't play well, and that was his mindset.
Right.
I say that to say the same thing. Something in his Valentino's mind, whatever it was, somebody said something in his ear. Was kind of like, "Oh, I heard that Sete did this, Sete did that, blah blah blah." Whether it's true or not,
he got punished for the crime. So it's a question of who snitched.
Yeah, that you didn't do. So for me, it's just like, who said that?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, TJ said that. Okay, all right, TJ. All right, you will never win a race ever again. While I'm on the grid, you ain't never winning a race. That's the mindset that we have. So from there, mostly if you get gridded, a grid penalty for something that you didn't do or something that you're getting blamed for.
Right. Yeah.
I take it personal and be like, oh yeah, really? You gonna do something like that? Something childish like that? Yeah, I got your number. Literally, I got your number. And
I'm
petty like that.
Yeah, TJ, man, I'm wondering what your thoughts on Rossi and the whole beef, and as I'm watching, because again, like I watched it many years ago, not in real time, but I wasn't sure when it started. Because, when I was watching 2003, I'm like, all right, they're dapping each other up on the podium. They're dapping each other up. I'm like, all right, all is good. And then it's just like Qatar. It's like, even after the race, it's just like, I'm not even looking at you. I'm not even, nothing. What are your thoughts, man? And rivalries are real and beefs are real, right?
Yeah, this is why we see Rossi's an icon and the level he's at now, because he's a go-getter. He gets his, and you can't get in his way. You see that. You can't get in his way at all. I was gonna compare this season a little bit to the World Superbike season we just had. Not that there's any beef with Buliga and Top Rack, but I feel like Top Rack was Rossi and Buliga was Sete. It's like he tries so hard to do all that he can, but couldn't get it done. Not that there's any beef, but I feel like whatever was directed towards Rossi to feel like somebody's against him. You see, he made his move, jumped to Yamaha. I was like, all right, you tell me that this is not going to work, I'm going to show you. Now, if he got that rumor that whatever Sete did that affected his riding, it's like, all right, I don't need to speak to you. So I'm going to still do what I got to do. And you see, like, he's still, that's the fuel that Rossi likes. And it just makes him even better. It just shows that how he's a legend. So,
yeah, I agree on that front. Lewis, man. I mean, Rossi goes to Malaysia, wins the championship. After the championship, his boys, they all clean the grid. what a way to get back a little bit. Are we petty in MotoGP?
Well, no, this is showmanship. This is what's always made Rossi. One of the few characters that can actually get away with this kind of stuff has been Rossi. Other people have tried to do it, and it looks very forced. It looks unnatural. Whereas when Rossi does these different celebrations, it looks organic, but it is planned. It's not like they just organically said, "Hey, we're gonna clean this up." He was like, "Hey, if I win this race or I win the championship here, this is what we're going to do in this corner. We're going to go out there with some brooms. We're going to do this and that." This is showmanship. This is something that was a little bit more allowed in MotoGP. And especially now that he's not with Honda, he doesn't have the corporate overlords kind of pushing down on him, trying to tell him who to be and who not to be. And this is great. This is one, this grid penalty. Here's a little bit of a slap in the face to Sete Gibba now. If he was the one that ratted me out, I'm sweeping. I just swept Honda. So you can kind of take it two ways. You guys brought 5 of the fastest people that you could find and put them on the best bike. And I just swept you guys as well. And, I'm going to be around for a long time and I'm going to keep making your lives difficult. I mean, to this day, up until just a couple of years ago, he had a beef with Honda because Honda owed him a motorcycle that they wouldn't give him. And I think just in the last year or two, Honda finally gave him the replica of the motorcycle he won his GP on.
Yeah.
And, and this is the kind of petty shit that if you're not a true fan, you don't know what's happening. But if you are a true fan, you start to realize, man, there's a lot of petty bitches in the sport.
And speaking of, we'll talk about the last round and then we'll kind of just go around and give our overall thoughts. Michael Jordan's at the last round in Valencia. So talking about petty people, he took a ride out on a factory Ducati, which was pretty cool. I want to do that. He also got a ride with Valentino Rossi in a BMW. They hop out. There's like no helmets, no gloves.
Drifting. They were drifting. Valentino was drifting that thing.
Drifting and all this. And you know how times have changed because now literally the seatbelt got a seatbelt. So you know what I'm saying? Rossi won the final round in true fashion. Unfortunately, Nicky Hayden was doing really well and crashed out. I would say that this was Nicky Hayden's breakout season, even though he had a broken collarbone early on and stuff like that. You know, what are your thoughts on seeing MJ there, riding the factory, taking the factory Ducati around the block, MotoGP bike, not store bike. And, there was even rumors that he was trying to get a MotoGP team. And obviously we see where Jordan is now with NASCAR and stuff like that and how cool that would have been, even though he did have a team in AMA on the state side. But we'll start with TJ and go around the room. Final round, the overall season, Rossi does win on the Yamaha, continuing his reign of 4 titles in a row, won the most with 9 wins in the season on a Yamaha. No other rider had done that. The first rider since, I'm forgetting his name. There's only one other guy that switched brand and won a factory, Eastman something. Westman something. I'll get it. But there's only one other rider was able to do that, and Rossi did that on the Yamaha. TJ, what are your thoughts, man, on the 2004 season?
So I must say it was actually a really good season. I pretty much enjoyed a lot of it, but I didn't see the Jordan part on the Valencia race. So someone else might have to explain that fiasco. But watching the Valencia race, Rossi has already won the championship. So, we're going into the race, it's already won. You don't really have to try hard or whatever, but, you're still the rider you are. So you're still going to give your 100%. So he goes in to the first couple turns, back in 7th, 10th, whatever, but he still was able to pull it out. Like, he was still able to, pick people off and get to the front and win the race. So it just shows how dominant he was and throughout the season. He didn't break. He didn't need a whole squad of riders to help him. Like Lewis said, like he carried his whole squad over to Yamaha. So like he had his interior already. That's all he needed. But what a way to finish the season! I mean, this guy actually has a mirror outside the Valencia with his face on the wall. So.
Poor Sete.
So I bet you Sete never visits Valencia. but yeah, that was a cool way to finish the season, and it was a good season overall.
All right, no doubt. Jordan, what are your thoughts, man, on the 2004 season? Jordan showing up, taking a ride on the GP2, I guess. This was only their second year in MotoGP at that point for Ducati. Rossi winning the race, even though he already won the title. It's that killer mentality. For some people, they wake up with it, they go to sleep with it, and it seems like that's what Rossi did. I mean, what are your thoughts on the 2004 season?
The season was great. Season was very exciting. Started off with a bang with him getting the first win, and then kind of learning the bike as we went along in the season. And then you can kind of see his Valentino dominance kind of kick in later on in there. Little hiccups here and there, which is to be expected, is to happen. But when the season kind of boiled down to, all right, you got it dialed in, now it's time to execute and start winning races, start pressuring riders. Got to remember, 2004, each round, they had 2-week breaks. Not nowadays where they're racing almost every weekend. They had 2-week breaks between every round. So they had a lot of time.
16 rounds back then, 16.
16 rounds, still a lot of rounds, but I mean, they had a lot of breaks in between them. Even the summer break was almost a month long. So, I mean, they had a lot of stuff going on, but they had a lot of breaks in between. So the Valencia round, when everything's already kind of said and done, now you see all the stars come out. World Olympians were out there.
I know.
Tennis pros were out there. MJ was out there. I mean, it was like I said, it was I'm not saying a fiasco, but it was, who's the princess of the ball type of situation, to where everything's pretty much said and done. The dust is pretty much already settled. I think first and second was already done. So it's a matter of who was going to get third, fifth, and whatever else. So it was just kind of like wherever else you're going to fit into, have a good race, have some fun. But for Michael Jordan to kind of have that passion for motorcycle racing, to go out to, him being Michael Jordan is a world name.
Yeah.
Anybody in the world, doesn't matter where you're at, Germany, you can speak English, not speak English. You say Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, everybody knows it. So for him to actually go out on there, go out on a Desmond Sedici bike, go out there on a parade lap, kind of show people that, yes, I am a true fan of motorcycle racing. And then like the next year, start Michael Jordan Motorsports racing in not say Moto America, but AMA Pro with
one of the Haydens, right?
He started with the Haydens, but then they didn't really do too much. because no, he had a street rider, Montez Jordan, I think it was, who actually started his first race with AMA Pro, but he was a Chicago street racer, I guess you could call it. So he actually helped pioneer him into what eventually becomes Michael Jordan Motorsports. And like I said, now, like you said, it's 2311, which is Michael Jordan Motorsports, and
Hamlin. Danny Hamlin.
So it was good to see it, but it was a big fiasco. It was a big media show, full blown.
All right, Lewis. No, all right, man. Lewis, I mean, Sete Juvenile didn't win. What was the temperature like back then? Rossi, he didn't have to win the last race, but he won it on their home soil. I mean, these guys back then were killers. Is the best thing I can say, man. What are your thoughts on the 2004 season? Where MotoGP was, as you hear other guys, talk about the different fans that came out, or superstars, I should say, that came out. What are your thoughts, man?
No, it was a great season overall. A lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of compelling storylines. It's a cliche thing, but if you were going to write a movie, you pretty much would write this movie exactly how it played out.
Yeah.
You would have your ups and downs, your trials and tribulations. You'd have some wins. You'd have some losses. You'd have a guy competing against you pretty much to the end of the year, keeping you honest. You didn't just walk away with the title, even though you ended up winning by, I think, 37 points. So
304 to 257. So like 44 points.
47 points, something like that. But either way, you didn't walk away with it, but you also, it kind of did come down to the second to the last race of the season. And then the storylines, so Rossi is the only rider to win back-to-back after changing manufacturers at the MotoGP level, at the top level. So he went from a Honda 1 year as a champion and went to Yamaha the next year as a champion. And so far, nobody's been able to replicate that.
Probably in any sport.
It's, I know LeBron tries all the time. He leaves a great team and tries to build another great team.
But he lost the first one to Dallas.
Exactly. So it's a difficult thing to do, but in motorcycle racing, at least at this time, it was a little bit easier for Rossi because he was able to bring his entire team with him and kind of pick up where they left off, even though it's a different equipment.
Okay.
Overall, the season was great. It did set some of the tones with what we're going to talk about when we get to 2025, as far as like the rivalry between Rossi and Gibernau gets worse. The rivalry between Rossi and Biaggi gets worse.
Yeah.
From here on out, Sete, Biaggi, and Rossi, that trio, that's just a degradation of relationships. It becomes so caustic at a certain point that it's like, oh man, and now if you think about it, fast forward into the future and you think about all the other people that Rossi has had beef with throughout the years, like when Rossi has beef with somebody, he goes scorch earth. Like there's no going back. There really isn't. The only person he's ever gone back and kind of shook hands with was Casey Stoner.
And Lorenzo. Marquez, no, but Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
After that, I forget, was it Louis Salam that died? I think it was after Louis Salam died. He made peace with Lorenzo.
Yeah, and again, dude, we gotta wait till somebody else dies before he makes peace with Marquez.
He was also a grown man.
Yeah. But at this point, he's a young hothead. He's gonna carry a lot of piss and vinegar from round to round. He's gonna carry that grudge. And we talked about it before the show started. Every other guy on this grid is somewhat a legend, but their legend is elevated by the fact that they raced against Rossi. Even though they didn't beat Rossi, had they only raced between each other, if it had only been Sete Gibernau and Biaggi, do you think we'd still be talking about Sete Gibernau?
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, I don't know. You're right. I don't know. I mean, it's tough because you can think about some of these weird times where the replacement time in NFL with players and the quarter season, the half a season in MotoGP with the pandemic, or the Spurs kind of thing and stuff like that. So
Let's be honest. If Isaiah Thomas wasn't talking shit about Michael Jordan once every few months, nobody would give a fuck who Isaiah Thomas is, man.
No one would know. No one would know.
When you put it like that, Lewis, when you put it like that, I guess you have a point. When when you don't win, and the only way to be relevant is to talk about the wins you didn't get. Where like Michael Jordan or Rossi or these guys, they don't have to come out. Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, they don't have to come out and have their rings on. All the time and stuff like that. But at the same time, give Juvenile credit. Give Biaggi credit, give Caparossi credit, Barros credit for taking out the challenge. Because there's a lot of other dudes that if I don't look at him, maybe he won't beat me as much.
Well, and you have to give them credit because these guys are the best of the best at this point in time in the history of MotoGP. Whether they're on their way to the pinnacle of their career or they're just at the top of the mountain, if they just kind of crested and now they're starting to decline to retire, these were the top 7 or 8 guys in the sport at this time, and they're throwing everything they can and the kitchen sink at a guy that's the Michael Jordan of this sport.
And I'll add Honda also. It's not just these
Honda,
guys. Yeah. Honda, who they pretty much were MotoGP. They also wanted to toss this guy out as well, and so all of them, they had to eat crow until Mark Marquez came by. I mean,
they got posterized.
What are your thoughts, Jordan or TJ, on what Lewis said about they may not be legends if they were not fighting against Rossi. We'll never know. We only know how it turned out. And they are legends. And to me, that was 2004 was a pretty impressive season to watch. We hear folks in media spaces talk about, the old basketball games and stuff like that and the different times and who would win and who wouldn't win and all that. I think for MotoGP, we already got times at tracks and stuff like that. And you can watch and see, you don't need to see a 2025 spec bike to say, oh, this 2004 bike wasn't quick. They were still going over 200 miles an hour back then. What are your thoughts, Jordan? And then we go to TJ on what Lewis is saying. If these guys wouldn't be as big as they would be if Rossi wasn't there, or they were able to beat Rossi.
I have to agree with him. I mean, if you look at all these riders, Sette, Biaggi, Caparossi, the list goes on and on and on. There's only one factor: they raced against Rossi. Okay. Just like you said with Isaiah Thomas, he wouldn't be relevant if he wasn't talking about the greatest player that he ever played, the greatest player who ever played the sport of basketball. And he's still an icon to this day. Us in motorcycle racing, the icon that we have is Valentino Rossi. So if you're going to be a competitor against him, then you're relevant to there. Because I've raced against Valentino Rossi. I can say I'm relevant because I've raced against
Kenny Roberts Sr.
I've raced against, a whole bunch of World Superbike riders that are in World Superbike now, but I'm here. So the only reason why they're relevant is because they raced against him. Whether they beat him or not on a fluke or because they was on superior equipment, that's the only relevance they have.
Yeah, I mean 9 wins is pretty dope, man. In 16 rounds. TJ, man, is it should we realign the legend status?
I mean, like not to switch sports, but there's players who haven't won a championship in basketball because Michael Jordan dominated throughout the whole time, but they're still legends and good players. So these riders here put up a great season. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they didn't just finish, like 5th and 10th and kept up with Rossi. Like they actually had battles. They actually won some races or got the podium. So they definitely put up a fight, and Rossi had to actually prove himself. So, it didn't come easy, especially as like Lewis said earlier. So like the fact that Rossi proved how good he was, and then these guys were the second runner-ups. Yeah, I mean, you still gotta give credit, but it's because Rossi was in the way. You know?
Yeah, I will say, and I know Lewis gave me he brought up more off camera, brought up what I how I feel about Bagnaia as far as the caliber riders, but I will and I will even use his point to kind of add to what I'm trying to say. I in 2004. All those guys, even though they didn't win or whatever for whatever reason, you didn't think for a second that they weren't giving it all they got. I mean, these guys were rolling over 100 times and trying to get back out there. These, we've heard Lewis and other guys say, Bagnaia don't run after the bike after he crashed, kind of thing and stuff like that. We can't say about this in 2004. All these riders, they were doing everything, including going to the teacher to try to to win the race. What do you before I get out of here? Anything that you guys want to add that we didn't talk about the 2004 season, other than if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's on MotoGP.
I mean, I got one thing. It's like I learned that in 2004, the rules and regulations, they switched the yellow flag, so you can't pass a rider.
Yeah.
If you do, you have to go back to, I forget, like your couple grid penalties or something like that. But that goes to show that if people were crashing and they saw a yellow flag, they were like, okay, I still could get on it. It didn't matter. So like they had to like regulate a few things. So that changed. And then, like I told you, Assen was my favorite race, but Rossi did the biggest burnout I've seen at Assen, probably pissed off Sete even more. But you don't really see that anymore, where like riders do like massive burnouts. Like even doing track days, someone did a burnout like at the Neymar, and they were like, "Oh, you got to pay for that. You messing up the concrete." So like just to see that back in the day, it was pretty cool. But you see how times have changed. So
bring back the burnouts.
They can't do burnouts like that now with the shitty tires. Now they'll blow up and they won't make it back to the grid. They got less than 1 millimeter of rubber left at the end of the race.
I will add one thing. Right. I forget which race it was, but Rossi on the fastest time sheet, he had the 14th fastest bike, and he finished that race in first place by 5 seconds. So he was definitely riding a slower bike and still beating up on these dudes. And power isn't everything.
Well, this year laid down the groundwork for what the Yamaha would be from that point pretty much until now. It's a bike that's got the edge grip that's unbelievable, carries a ton of corner speed. And if it can carry that corner speed, it can carry the momentum out of the corner and make itself very difficult to pass. Unfortunately, now everybody has corner speed, and now you need straight line speed. And this is where Yamaha, we know in today's day and age, is suffering dramatically. So hopefully with their new V4 engine, this will change. But this set the tone for what the Yamaha would be. And the Yamaha became a very dominant bike, even though it's always been down on power. Right. It's never been the fastest bike. It's never had the most horsepower. But that thing can go into a corner and go through a corner and come out of a corner faster than anybody else, hands down. Like that was the geometry and the setup of the bike. It was a very long bike. Like the wheelbase was a little bit longer than what the wheelbase most other bikes use, just to be able to carry that corner speed and to be able to like swing the bike through the corners and keep stability. Because as you shorten the wheelbase, you're going to lose a little bit stability in straight line speed, and then you're going to lose a little stability through the corners. And they just found that right length of wheelbase that worked with the tires they had, that gave them that little competitive advantage. In the one place they exceeded everybody else, in the corner, through the corner.
No doubt.
My take on the season is how the celebrations was then to now.
Yeah.
Valentino, like you said, he was a showman. I believe that's why he had the fanfare as, pardon my French, has the fanfare he still has to this day, because he celebrates with the crowd, the people. He does all the extravagance, goes to the potty and turn 4 and stays in there for like 30 something seconds and comes out. Nobody does that. Nobody ever does that. People who've tried to do that, like you said, Jorge, he came out with his little 5 suits and stood there. Yeah, I won 5. Okay, what do you do? Martinez had a good showmanship. I think it lasted a little bit too long. I think he was too sweaty to get from suit to suit, which looked like the same suit. I mean, quote me if I'm wrong. Look at the same suit. But anyway, but yeah, I think the last one that Bautista did, that was fun. The one that Bautista did, got into the gold suit. And that was a good celebration also. So, I mean, I think the fanfare needs to kind of really come back, whether they do burnouts or not. I agree with TJ. He did a stupidly serious mad burnout, did a donut and everything, which is kind of fun. And, you do that now and, they're fining you $20,000 or they're telling you got to pay for a concrete slab this big because you did a standing burnout for 2 seconds. It's just like, dude, come on now, get real. So I think the fanfare attraction, I think needs to come back a little bit more to really bring in the crowds. Mostly here in the U.S., we still are way behind the power curve in getting the fanfare for motorcycle racing and motorcycle love and passion here in the U.S.
I will say. They in 2004 they still hadn't controlled the crowd from running on the track.
No, they still running on the track. They wilding.
They only did that for 2 rounds. They only did it for like 2 rounds. They did it for Mazzano. What was the other one? Jerez. And there was another one they did it for Germany. They didn't let nobody go out to Germany, nothing like that.
Yeah,
there's a big, stupid, long straight, and there's crowds of people that just bum rush the whole crowd.
And the riders are like doing 30, 40 through because it's not like they're creeping slow. They just like
for real.
Yeah, I'm less like
national ball.
I'm surprised.
They're doing pull-ups.
I don't know if people got hurt at a MotoGP round doing that, but if they didn't, they're very fortunate because like even when Rossi won and people were coming to congratulate him and stuff like that, the championship, like somebody will pull up and there's people around them and then just ride off. I'm just like, no one is in front of you.
They got bounced off the bike.
Different times, man. Different times.
I mean, think about it. 30% of the bikes on the grid, they're still advertising cigarettes.
Yeah, that's true.
Different times, man.
Out the camel every now and then. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
You got Camel motorcycles. You got Gulisi. You got, I mean,
Marlboro.
The champagne celebration is definitely different back then than today.
Like back then you could soak a chick. Now you can't even spray her. You can find.
Can't even find. And on that note, we'll say good night. My name is Rick 25. It's the Be Forever Cool podcast. I want to thank Jordan Long for coming on, TJ from Two Wheels and Coffee, the real Louis Ortega, the numbers guy. Peace.
Peace out.